Question 166. How can a company configure automatic, asynchronous copying of objects in Amazon S3 buckets across regions? Now, the options are: Option 1. By configuring multi-master replication. Option 2. Using cross-region replication. Option 3. Using lifecycle actions. Option 4. This is done by default by AWS. And the correct answer is Option 2. Using cross-region replication. Explanation. Cross-region replication enables automatic, asynchronous copying of objects across buckets in different AWS regions. Buckets configured for cross-region replication can be owned by the same AWS account or by different account. Using cross-region replication is the correct answer. This is done by default by AWS is incorrect, as this is not true. By configuring multi-master replication is incorrect. Multi-master replication is not something you can do with Amazon S3. Using lifecycle actions is incorrect. Lifecycle actions cannot be configured to move to another storage class in a different region. Next question. Which of the following is not a best practice for protecting the root user of an AWS account? Now the options are: Option 1. Don't share the root user credentials. Option 2. Remove administrative permissions. Option 3. Enable MFA. Option 4. Lock away the AWS root user access keys. And the correct answer is Option 2. Remove administrative permissions. Explanation. You cannot remove administrative permissions from the root user of an AWS account. Therefore, you must protect the account through creating a complex password, enabling MFA, locking away access keys, and not sharing the account details. Remove administrative permissions is the correct answer. Don't share the root user credential is incorrect, as this is a best practice. Enable MFA is incorrect, as this is a best practice. Lock away the AWS root user access keys is incorrect, as this is also a best practice. Next question. How can a database administrator reduce operational overhead for a MySQL database? Now the options are: Option 1. Migrate the database onto AWS Lambda. Option 2. Use AWS CloudFormation to manage operations. Option 3. Migrate the database onto an EC2 instance. Option 4. Migrate the database onto an Amazon RDS instance. And the correct answer is Option 4. Migrate the database onto an Amazon RDS instance. Explanation. Amazon RDS is a managed database service that supports MySQL. The DBA can reduce operational overhead by moving to RDS and having less work to do to manage the database. Migrate the database onto an Amazon RDS instance is the correct answer. Migrate the database onto an EC2 instance is incorrect. Migrating onto an EC2 instance will not reduce operational overhead, as the DBA will still need to manage both the operating system and the database. Migrate the database onto AWS Lambda is incorrect. AWS Lambda provides functions as a service. It therefore a compute service, not a database service, and cannot be used to run a MySQL database. Use AWS CloudFormation to manage operations is incorrect. AWS CloudFormation is used for automating the deployment of infrastructure on AWS, not for automating operations. Next question. Which AWS service or feature helps restrict the AWS service, resources, and individual API actions the users and roles in each member account can access? Now the options are: Option 1. AWS Firewall Manager. Option 2. Amazon Cognito. Option 3. AWS Shield. Option 4. AWS Organizations. And the correct answer is Option 4. AWS Organizations. Explanation. AWS Organizations offers the following policy types. Service control policies offer central control over the maximum available permissions for all of the accounts in your organization. Tag policies help you standardize tag across resources in your organization's accounts. SCPs are used to restrict access within member accounts. For instance, you can create an SCP that restricts a specific API action, such as deploying a particular Amazon EC2 instance type. The policy would then prevent anyone, including administrators, from being able to launch EC2 instances using that instance type. AWS organizations is the correct answer. Amazon Cognito is incorrect, as this service is used for providing sign-in and sign-up services for mobile applications. AWS Shield is incorrect, as this is a security service for protecting against DDoS attacks. AWS Firewall Manager is incorrect, as this service is used for managing various security services within AWS. Next question. Where are Amazon EBS snapshots stored? Now the options are: Option 1. Within the EBS block store. Option 2. On Amazon S3. Option 3. On an Amazon EFS file system. Option 4. On an Amazon EBS instance store. And the correct answer is Option 2. On Amazon S3. Explanation. You can back up the data on your Amazon EBS volumes to Amazon S3 by taking point-in-time snapshots. Snapshots are incremental backups, which means that only the blocks on the device that have changed after your most recent snapshot are saved. On Amazon S3 is the correct answer. On an Amazon EBS instance store is incorrect. On an Amazon EFS file system is incorrect. Within the EBS block store is incorrect. Next question. You need to connect your company's on-premise network into AWS and would like to establish an AWS Managed VPN service. Which of the following configuration items need to be set up on the Amazon VPC side of the connection? Now the options are: Option 1. A customer gateway. Option 2. A firewall. Option 3. A virtual private gateway. Option 4. A network address translation device. And the correct answer is Option 3. A virtual private gateway. Explanation. A virtual private gateway is the VPN concentrator on the Amazon side of the VPN connection. You create a virtual private gateway and attach it to the VPC from which you want to create the VPN connection. A virtual private gateway is the correct answer. A customer gateway is incorrect. A customer gateway is a physical device or software application on your side of the VPN connection. A network address translation device is incorrect. NAT devices and firewalls are not required for an AWS Managed VPN. A firewall is incorrect. A firewall is not required for a VPN connection. Next question. Which AWS service can be used to run Docker containers? Now the options are: Option 1. AWS Fargate. Option 2. Amazon AMI. Option 3. AWS Lambda. Option 4. Amazon ECR. And the correct answer is Option 1. AWS Fargate. Explanation. AWS Fargate is a serverless compute engine for containers that works with both Amazon Elastic Container Service and Amazon Elastic Kubernetes Service. Fargate makes it easy for you to focus on building your applications. Fargate removes the need to provision and manage servers, let you specify and pay for resources per application, and improves security through application isolation by design. Amazon ECS is the correct answer. AWS Lambda is incorrect. AWS Lambda is a serverless technology that lets you run code in response to events as functions. Amazon ECR is incorrect. Amazon Elastic Container Registry is a fully managed Docker container registry that makes it easy for developers to store, manage, and deploy Docker container images. Amazon AMI is incorrect. Amazon Machine Images store configuration information for Amazon EC2 instances. Next question. In which ways does AWS Pricing Model benefit organizations? Now the options are: Option 1. Reduce the cost of maintaining idle resources. Option 2. Reduces the people cost of application development. Option 3. Eliminates licensing cost. Option 4. Focus is spent on capital expenditure rather than operational expenditure. And the correct answer is option 1. Reduce the cost of maintaining idle resources. Explanation. Using AWS, you can provision only what you need and adjust resources automatically and elastically. This reduces the amount of resources that are sitting idle, which reduces cost. Reduce the cost of maintaining idle resources is the correct answer. Eliminates licensing cost is incorrect. AWS does not eliminate licensing cost or application development cost, as you still need to license and develop your application. Focus is spent on capital expenditure rather than operational expenditure is incorrect. AWS allows you to focus your spend on operational cost, not capital cost. Reduces the people cost of application development is incorrect, as you still need people to develop applications. Next question. Your organization has offices around the world, and some employees travel between offices. How should their account be set up? Now the options are: Option 1. Set the user account as a global account when created. Option 2. IAM is a global service. Just create the users in one place. Option 3. Enable MFA for the accounts. Option 4. Create a separate account in IAM within each region in which they will travel. And the correct answer is option 2. IAM is a global service. Just create the users in one place. Explanation. IAM is a global service and all users that are created are able to log into the AWS Management Console from any location. IAM is a global service. Just create the users in one place is the correct answer. Create a separate account in IAM within each region in which they will travel is incorrect. You do not create separate IAM accounts in different regions, as IAM is a global service. Set the user account as a global account when created is incorrect. There is no such thing as setting the account as global. Enable MFA for the accounts is incorrect. Enabling multi-factor authentication is a good security practice, but not necessary to enable users to travel to different locations. Next question. Which AWS cloud design principles can help increase reliability? Select two options. Now the options are: Option 1. Using monolithic architecture. Option 2. Measuring overall efficiency. Option 3. Adopting a consumption model. Option 4. Testing recovery procedures. Option 5. Automatically recovering from failure. And the correct answer is option 4. Testing recovery procedures, and option 5. Automatically recovering from failure. Explanation. Recovery procedures should always be tested ahead of any outage of disaster recovery situation. This is the only way to be sure your recovery procedures are effective. When designing system, it is also a good practice to implement automatic recovery when possible. This reduces or eliminates the operational burden and potential downtime associated with the failure of a system or application component. Testing recovery procedures is the correct answer. Automatically recovering from failure is the correct answer. Using monolithic architecture is incorrect. A monolithic architecture means you have multiple components of an application running on a single system. This results in a bigger issue if that system fails. A distributed architecture is preferred. Measuring overall efficiency is incorrect. Efficiency has more of a bearing on cost management than reliability. Adopting a consumption model is incorrect. A consumption model has benefits more aligned with cost and agility than reliability. Next question. Which of the following are examples of horizontal scaling? Select two options. Now the options are: Option 1. Add more instances as demand increases. Option 2. Add more CPU or RAM to existing instances as demand increases. Option 3. Automatic scaling using services such as AWS Autoscaling. Option 4. Scalability is limited by maximum instance size. Option 5. Requires a restart to scale up or down. And the correct answer is Option 1. Add more instances as demand increases. And Option 3. automatic scaling using services such as AWS Autoscaling. Explanation. With horizontal scaling, you add more instances to a fleet of instances to service demand as it increases. This can be achieved automatically by using AWS Autoscaling to add instances in response to CloudWatch performance metrics. With vertical scaling, you are adding CPU, RAM, or storage to an existing instance. This may involve modifying the instance type, which typically requires a restart. With vertical scaling on AWS, scalability is limited by the maximum instance size. Add more instances as demand increases is the correct answer. Automatic scaling using services such as AWS Autoscaling is also a correct answer. Add more CPU or RAM to existing instances as demand increases is incorrect, as this is an example of vertical scaling. Requires a restart to scale up or down is incorrect, as horizontal scaling does not require a restart of existing instances or applications. Scalability is limited by maximum instance size is incorrect, as with horizontal scaling you add more instances. Next question. Which feature of Amazon S3 enables you to create rules to control the transfer of objects between different storage classes? Now the options are: Option 1. Object sharing. Option 2. Versioning. Option 3. Bucket policies. Option 4. Lifecycle management. And the correct answer is Option 4. Lifecycle management. Explanation. To manage your objects so that they are stored cost effectively throughout their life cycle, configure their Amazon S3 lifecycle. An S3 lifecycle configuration is a set of rules that define actions that Amazon S3 applies to a group of objects. There are two types of actions. Number 1. Transition actions. Define when objects transition to another storage class. For example, you might choose to transition objects to the S3 standard IA storage class 30 days after you created them, or archive objects to the S3 Glacier storage class 1 year after creating them. Number 2. Expiration actions. Define when objects expire. Amazon S3 deletes expired objects on your behalf. The lifecycle expiration cost depends on when you choose to expire objects. Lifecycle management is the correct answer. Object sharing is incorrect. Object sharing refers to the ability to make any object publicly available via a URL. Versioning is incorrect. Versioning enables you to automatically keep multiple versions of an object when enabled. Bucket policies is incorrect. Bucket policies are used for controlling access to buckets. They can't be used to move data between storage classes. Next question. A cloud practitioner is creating the business process workflows associated with an order fulfillment system. Which AWS service can assist with coordinating tasks across distributed application components? Now the options are: Option 1. Amazon SNS. Option 2. Amazon SWF. Option 3. Amazon SQS. Option 4. AWS STS. And the correct answer is Option 2. Amazon SWF. Explanation. Amazon Simple Workflow Service is a web service that makes it easy to coordinate work across distributed application components. SWF enables applications for a range of use cases, including media processing, web application backends, business process workflows, and analytics pipelines to be designed as a coordination of tasks. Amazon SWF is the correct answer. AWS STS is incorrect. AWS Security Token Service is used for requesting temporary credentials. Amazon SQS is incorrect. Amazon Simple Queue Service is a message queue used for decoupling application components. Amazon SNS is incorrect. Amazon Simple Notification Service is a web service that makes it easy to set up, operate, and send notifications from the cloud. SNS supports notifications over multiple transports including HTTP or HTTPS. email and email JSON, SQS and SMS. Next question. How can you deploy your EC2 instances so that if a single data center fails, you still have instances available? Now the options are: Option 1, across VPCs. Option 2, across regions. Option 3, across availability zones. Option 4, across subnets. And the correct answer is Option 3, across availability zones. Explanation. An AZ spans one or more data centers, and each AZ is physically isolated from other AZs and connected by high-speed networking. If you want to deploy a highly available application, you should spread your instances across AZs, and they'll be resilient to the failure of a single DC. Across availability zones is the correct answer. Across regions is incorrect. You could deploy your instances across separate regions, but this is not necessary to create a highly available application and introduces complexity and cost. For example, you may need multiple ELBs, one per region, complex name resolution, and potential data transfer charges. Across subnets is incorrect. Subnets are created within AZs. Therefore, if you deploy resources into multiple subnets within an AZ and a data center fails, you may lose all of your instances. Across VPCs is incorrect. You should deploy across AZs within a VPC. Question 181. What do you need to log into the AWS Console? Now the options are: Option 1, username and password. Option 2, access key and secret ID. Option 3, certificate. Option 4, key pair. And the correct answer is Option 1, username and password. Explanation. You can log into the AWS Console using a username and password. You cannot log into the AWS Console using a key pair, access key, and secret ID or certificate. Username and password is the correct answer. Key pair is incorrect. Access key and secret ID is incorrect. Certificate is also incorrect option. Next question. Which resource should you use to access the AWS security and compliance reports? Now the options are: Option 1, AWS IAM. Option 2, AWS Organizations. Option 3, AWS Business Associate Addendum, BAA. Option 4, AWS Artifact. And the correct answer is Option 4, AWS Artifact. Explanation. AWS Artifact, available in the console, is a self-service audit artifact retrieval portrait that provides our customers with an on-demand access to AWS compliance documentation and AWS agreements. AWS Artifact is the correct answer. AWS Business Associate Addendum is incorrect. The Business Associate Addendum is an agreement you can choose to accept within AWS Artifact agreements. AWS IAM is incorrect. AWS Identity and Access Management is the service used for creating and managing users, groups, roles, and policies. AWS Organizations is incorrect. AWS Organizations helps you centrally govern your environment as you grow and scale your workloads on AWS. Using AWS Organizations, you can automate account creation, create groups of accounts to reflect your business needs, and apply policies for these groups for governance. Next question. Which AWS service can serve a static website? Now the options are: Option 1, Amazon Route 53. Option 2, Amazon QuickSight. Option 3, Amazon S3. Option 4, AWS X-Ray. And the correct answer is Option 3, Amazon S3. Explanation. You can use Amazon S3 to host a static website. On a static website, individual web pages include static content. They might also contain client-side scripts. To host a static website on Amazon S3, you configure an Amazon S3 bucket for website hosting and then upload your website content to the bucket. When you configure a bucket as a static website, you must enable website hosting, set permissions, and Create and add an index document. Depending on your website requirements, you can also configure redirects, web traffic logging, and a custom error document. Amazon S3 is the correct answer. Amazon Route 53 is incorrect. This is an intelligent DNS service. Amazon QuickSight is incorrect. Amazon QuickSight is a fast cloud-powered business intelligence service that makes it easy to deliver insights to everyone in your organization. AWS X-Ray is incorrect. This is used for tracking and debugging applications. Next question. Which of the following are pillars from the 5 pillars of the AWS well-architected framework? Select 2 options. Now the options are: Option 1, Operational Excellence. Option 2, Confidentiality. Option 3, Economics. Option 4, Performance Efficiency. Option 5, Resilience. And the correct answer is Option 1, Operational Excellence, and Option 4, Performance Efficiency. Explanation. The 5 pillars of the AWS well-architected framework are Operation Excellence, Security Reliability, Performance Efficiency, and Cost Optimization. Operational Excellence is the correct answer. Performance Efficiency is also a correct answer. Resilience is incorrect, as this is not one of the 5 pillars. Confidentiality is incorrect, as this is not of one of the 5 pillars. Economics is incorrect, as this is not one of the 5 pillars. Next question. Which type of AWS database is ideally suited to analytics using SQL queries? Now the options are: Option 1, Amazon DynamoDB. Option 2, Amazon RDS. Option 3, Amazon S3. Option 4, Amazon Redshift. And the correct answer is Option 4, Amazon Redshift. Explanation. Amazon Redshift is a fast, fully managed data warehouse that makes it simple and cost-effective to analyze all your data using standard SQL and existing business intelligence tools. Redshift is a SQL-based data warehouse used for analytics applications. Amazon Redshift is the correct answer. Amazon DynamoDB is incorrect. Amazon DynamoDB is a NoSQL type of database and is not suited to analytics using SQL queries. Amazon RDS is incorrect. Amazon RDS is a transactional DB, not an analytics DB. Amazon S3 is incorrect. Amazon S3 is an object storage solution, not a database. Next question. To reduce cost, which of the following services support reservations? Select 2 options. Now the options are: Option 1, Amazon Elasticache. Option 2, Amazon Redshift. Option 3, AWS Elastic Beanstalk. Option 4, Amazon CloudFormation. Option 5, Amazon S3. And the correct answer is Option 1, Amazon Elasticache, and Option 2, Amazon Redshift. Explanation. Amazon Elasticache and Amazon Redshift both support reserved nodes. Reservations can be used to gain a large discount from the on-demand rate in exchange for the commitment to a contract for 1 or 3 years. Amazon Elasticache is the correct answer. Amazon Redshift is also a correct answer. Amazon CloudFormation is incorrect, as you do not pay for CloudFormation. AWS Elastic Beanstalk is incorrect, as you do not pay for Elastic Beanstalk. Amazon S3 is incorrect, as you pay for uses and cannot reserve capacity. Next question. Under the AWS Shared Responsibility Model, which of the following are customer responsibilities? Select 2 options. Now the options are: Option 1, Physical security of data center facilities. Option 2, Network and firewall configurations. Option 3, Setting up server-side encryption on an Amazon S3 bucket. Option 4, Compute capacity availability. Option 5, Amazon RDS instance patching. And the correct answer is Option 2, Network and firewall configurations. And Option 3, Setting up server-side encryption on an Amazon S3 bucket. Explanation. As a customer on AWS, you take responsibility for encrypting data. This includes encrypting data at rest and data in transit. Another security responsibility the customer owns is setting network and firewall configurations. For instance, you must configure network ACLs and security groups and any operating system level firewalls on your EC2 instances. Setting up server-side encryption on an Amazon S3 bucket is the correct answer. Network and firewall configurations is also a correct answer. Amazon RDS instance patching is incorrect. With RDS, you can define the maintenance window, but AWS actually performs the patching for you. Physical security of data center facility is incorrect, as this is security of the cloud and is an AWS responsibility. Compute capacity availability is incorrect, as this is an AWS responsibility. Next question. According to the AWS Shared Responsibility Model, which of the following is a shared control? Now the options are: Option 1. Operating system patching. Option 2. Protection of infrastructure. Option 3. Client-side data encryption. Option 4. Awareness and training. And the correct answer is Option 4. Awareness and training. Explanation. Shared controls are controls which apply to both the infrastructure layer and customer layers, but in completely separate context or perspectives. In a shared control, AWS provides the requirements for the infrastructure and the customer must provide their own control implementation within their use of AWS services. Examples include patch management, configuration management, and awareness and training. Awareness and training is the correct answer. Operating system patching is incorrect. Though patch management is a shared control, operating system patching specifically is a customer responsibility. Protection of infrastructure is incorrect. Protection of infrastructure is solely an AWS responsibility. Client-side data encryption is incorrect. Client and server-side data encryption are both customer responsibilities. Next question. A startup e-commerce company needs to quickly deliver new website features in an iterative manner, minimizing the time to market. Which AWS cloud features allows this? Now the options are: Option 1. High availability. Option 2. Elasticity. Option 3. Agility. Option 4. Reliability. And the correct answer is Option 3. Agility. Explanation. In a cloud computing environment, new IT resources are only a click away, which means that you reduce the time to make those resources available to your developers from weeks to just minutes. This results in a dramatic increase in agility for the organization, since the cost and time it takes to experiment and develop is significantly lower. Agility is the correct answer. High availability is incorrect, as this is associated with increased resilience, not agility. Elasticity is incorrect, as this associated with the ability to adjust to demand and reduce the need to guess capacity requirements. Reliability is incorrect, as this does not assist with bringing features to market faster. Next question. Your manager has asked you to explain the benefits of using IAM Groups. Which of the following statements are valid benefits? Select two options. Now the options are: Option 1. Provide the ability to create custom permission policies. Option 2. You can restrict access to the subnets in your VPC. Option 3. Provide the ability to nest groups to create an organizational hierarchy. Option 4. Enables you to attach IAM permission policies to more than one user at a time. Option 5. Groups let you specify permissions for multiple users, which can make it easier to manage the permissions for those users. And the correct answer is Option 4. Enables you to attach IAM permissions policies to more than one user at a time. And Option 5. Groups let you specify permissions for multiple users, which can make it easier to manage the permissions for those users. Explanation. Groups are collections of users and have policies attached to them. This enables you to organize groups of users by job function or role and apply relevant policies to the group. You can use groups to assign permissions to user and should follow the principle of least privilege when assigning permissions. Groups let you specify permissions for multiple users, which can make it easier to manage the permissions for those users is the correct answer. Enables you to attach IAM permission policies to more than one user at a time is also a correct answer. You can restrict access to the subnets in your VPC is incorrect, as this describes network ACLS. Provide the ability to create custom permission policies is incorrect, as this describes IAM policies. Provide the ability to nest groups to create an organizational hierarchy is incorrect. You cannot nest groups within groups. Next question. What is the Amazon solution for creating a logical private connection between a remote on-premises network and an Amazon VPC? Now, the options are Option A, AWS Direct Connect. Option B, Hardware VPN. Option C, AWS VPN Cloud Hub. Option D, VPC Peering. And the correct answer is Option A, AWS Direct Connect. Explanation. An Amazon AWS Direct Connect is a private connection that links your remote network to an Amazon Virtual Private Cloud VPC. Another way of describing an AWS Direct Connect is a link between your on-premises network and your Amazon VPC. This type of connection can increase network bandwidth, drastically lower network cost, and create network consistency. You can also choose your direct connection bandwidth level by selecting a 10 Gbps or a 1 Gbps dedicated connection. Hardware Virtual Private Network VPN is a way of creating a hardware VPN connection to an AWS network component that is attached to the Amazon VPC. This type of connection is physical to logical because you would be connecting from hardware to the VPC, which is virtual. VPC peering is a highly recommended solution to connecting several Amazon VPCs within an individual region. This option is for linking large geographic regions together versus creating a direct connection from an on-premises network to an Amazon VPC. AWS VPN Cloud Hub is a way of connecting local offices together in a specific networking configuration that is used as a primary network or a backup, depending on the architecture. The limitation with this is the level of internet connectivity and upload and download speed. Next question. Your management is looking to deploy a shared file access on AWS. Hundreds of EC2 instances will access the file system simultaneously. They also need petabytes of storage. What is the best storage option for this use case? Now, the options are Option A, Amazon S3. Option B, Amazon EFS. Option C, Amazon EBS. Option D, Amazon EC2. And the correct answer is Option B, Amazon EFS. Explanation. Amazon Elastic File Storage is the best suited file storage option for the described scenario. It is designed for shared file access and scaling to petabyte data store. Option A is correct. Amazon S3 is an object data store which is not suitable for deploying Linux-based workloads, as the scenario outlines. Option C is incorrect. Amazon Elastic Block Store is block storage service for access by an EC2 instance but without the capability of a shared file access. Applications that utilize persistent or dedicated block storage for a single instance can use Amazon EBS storage. Option D is incorrect. Amazon Elastic Compute Cloud, Amazon EC2 provides computing capacity. EC2 is not suitable for shared file storage. Next question. Choose the best Amazon Route 53 routing policy that can route traffic to multiple resources based on the end user's location. Now the options are Option A, Multi-Value Routing Policy. Option B, Failover Routing Policy. Option C, Simple Routing Policy. Option D, Latency Routing Policy. Option E, Geolocation Routing Policy. And the correct answer is Option E, Geolocation Routing Policy. Explanation. Geolocation routing policy will route traffic to the resources based upon user location. This is suitable when there are multiple resources deployed in different geographical locations and traffic needs to route to resources based upon user location. Simple routing policy. Use for a single resource that performs a given function for your domain. For example, a web server that serves content for the example.com website. Failover routing policy. Use when you want to configure active-passive failover. Geolocation routing policy. Use when you want to route traffic based on the location of your users. Geo-proximity routing policy. Use when you want to route traffic based on the location of your resources and optionally shift traffic from resources in one location to resources in another. Latency routing policy. Use when you have resources in multiple AWS regions and you want to route traffic to the region that provides the best latency with less round-trip time. Multi-value answer routing policy. Use when you want Route 53 to respond to DNS queries with up to 8 healthy records selected at random. Weighted routing policy. Use to route traffic to multiple resources in proportions that you specify. Other options are incorrect based on for the above explanation. Next question. Your company is looking for an AWS resource that can provide recommendations on how to optimize your AWS infrastructure, improve security and performance, and monitor service quotas. Choose the right service. Now the options are: Option A, AWS Config. Option B, Amazon Inspector. Option C, AWS Trusted Advisor. Option D, Amazon Guard Duty. And the correct answer is Option C, AWS Trusted Advisor. Explanation. Trusted Advisor draws upon best practices learned from serving hundreds of thousands of AWS customers. Trusted Advisor inspects your AWS environment and then makes recommendations when opportunities exist to save money, improve system availability and performance, or help close security gaps. Other options are incorrect. They are not related to infrastructure security optimization. Option A is incorrect. AWS Config. AWS Config is a service that enables you to assess, audit, and evaluate the configurations of your AWS resources. Config continuously monitors and records your AWS resource configurations and allows you to automate the evaluation of recorded configurations against desired configurations. Option B is incorrect. Amazon Inspector is an automated vulnerability management service that continually scans AWS workloads for software vulnerabilities and unintended network exposure. Option D is incorrect. Amazon Guard Duty is a threat detection service that continuously monitors your AWS accounts and workloads for malicious activity and delivers detailed security findings for visibility and remediation. Next question. Your company asked you to suggest a tool to monitor user activities, especially if users delete resources from the cloud. Which option is suitable for this purpose? Now the options are: Option A, AWS Trusted Advisor. Option B, AWS Inspector. Option C, AWS CloudTrail Logs. Option D, Amazon CloudWatch Streams. And the correct answer is Option C, AWS CloudTrail Logs. Explanation. Using CloudTrail, one can monitor all the API activity conducted on all AWS services. AWS CloudTrail is a service that enables governance, compliance, operational auditing, and risk auditing of your AWS account. With CloudTrail, you can log, continuously monitor, and retain account activity related to action across your AWS infrastructure. CloudTrail provides event history of your AWS account activity, including actions taken through the AWS Management Console, AWS SDKs, command line tools, and other AWS services. This event history simplifies security analysis, resource change tracking, and troubleshooting. Option A is incorrect. AWS Trusted Advisor provides recommendations that help you follow AWS best practices. Trusted Advisor evaluates your account by using checks. These checks identify ways to optimize your AWS infrastructure, improve security and performance, reduce cost, and monitor service quotas. Option B is incorrect. Amazon Inspector is an automated vulnerability management service that continually scans AWS workloads for software vulnerabilities and unintended network exposure. Option D is incorrect. CloudWatch collects monitoring and operational data in the form of logs, metrics, and events and visualizes it using automated dashboards so you can get a unified view of your AWS resources, applications, and services that run on AWS and on premises. Question 6. Select the correct statement about the AWS CLI. And the options are: Option A. AWS CLI reduce the egress or ingress charges. B. All application testing can be managed by AWS. C. Customer-owned on-premises infrastructure becomes programmable. D. It allows developers to work with AWS resources programmatically. And the correct answer is option D. It allows developers to work with AWS resources programmatically. Explanation: CLI allows developers to easily work with the various AWS resources programmatically. Option A is incorrect. The AWS CLI doesn't reduce the ingress or egress charges. Option B is incorrect. CLI allows the customer's developers to work with resources, not AWS. Option C is incorrect. The AWS CLI only allows the customer to manage AWS resources, not on-premise. Next question. Select the correct statement about spot price with respect to spot instance. And the options are: Option A. Spot price is static and changes every 6 hours. B. Spot price is static and changes every 24 hours. C. Spot price varies based upon demand. D. Spot price is always less than spot instance request. And the correct answer is option C. Spot price varies based upon demand. Explanation: a spot instance uses the free Amazon EC2 capacity and is available at lesser price than on-demand Amazon EC2 instance. Spot price is an hourly price for a spot instance. Spot price depends upon instance type in each availability zone and varies based upon demand for the spot instance. Option A is incorrect. Hourly price of the spot instance varies based upon the demand for the selected instance and is not static. Option B is incorrect. Hourly price of the spot instance varies based upon the demand for the selected instance. It is not static and does not change every 24 hours. Option D is incorrect. Spot request is the price which customer is willing to pay for a specific instance type in an availability zone. When spot price exceeds the spot request, instance gets terminated. Your company plans to use Amazon S3 to store files uploaded by users. The files are accessed randomly. Popular ones are downloaded frequently while others are downloaded less frequently. Next question. What AWS service automates the provisioning of infrastructure and administrative tasks for an analytical data warehouse? And the options are: Option A. Amazon QuickSight. B. Amazon OpenSearch. C. Amazon SageMaker. D. Amazon Redshift. And the correct answer is option D. Amazon Redshift. Explanation: Amazon Redshift is a fully managed petabyte-scale data warehouse service in the cloud. You can start with just a few hundred gigabytes of data and scale to a petabyte or more. This enables you to use your data to acquire new insights for your business and customers. Option A is incorrect. QuickSight is Amazon's machine learning-powered business intelligence service. Option B is incorrect. Amazon OpenSearch is an Elasticsearch-based open-source distributed search and analytics service. Option C is incorrect. SageMaker is a fully managed service to build, train, and deploy machine learning models with fully managed infrastructure, tools, and workflows. Next question. As an AWS administrator, you are responsible for automating the creation of new AWS accounts for the organization's various departments. New workloads need to be spun up promptly and categorized into groups. How can this be achieved efficiently? And the options are: Option A. Use AWS CloudFormation. B. Using the AWS API to programmatically create each account via command line interface. C. AWS Identity Access Management. D. Use AWS Organizations. And the correct answer is option D. Use AWS Organizations. Explanation. AWS Organizations allows the user to automate the creation of new AWS accounts when they need to launch new workloads quickly. The administrator can add these new accounts to user-defined groups in an organization for easy categorization. For example, you can create separate groups to categorize development and production accounts. Then you can apply a service control policy to the production group, allowing only access to the AWS services required by production workloads. Option A is incorrect because AWS CloudFormation doesn't aid in automated AWS account creation. AWS CloudFormation provides a common language for the administrator to describe and provision all the infrastructure resources in their cloud environment. CloudFormation allows the administrator to use a simple text file to model and provision all the resources needed for applications across all regions and accounts. This file serves as a single source of truth for your cloud environment. Option B is incorrect. Using AWS API to programmatically create each account via command line interface is feasible but inefficient. Option C is incorrect because using AWS Identity Access Management to fulfill the task is insufficient and tedious. AWS Identity and Access Management enables you to manage access to AWS services and resources securely. Using IAM, you can create and manage AWS users and groups but cannot automate AWS account creation. Next question. When using the AWS CloudFormation template, which of the following features can be used to preview the changes to be made to an AWS resource? And the options are: Option A. AWS CloudFormation Drift Detection. B. AWS CloudFormation Change Sets. C. AWS CloudFormation Stack Sets. D. AWS CloudFormation Intrinsic Functions. And the correct answer is option B. AWS CloudFormation Change Sets. Explanation. AWS CloudFormation Changes Set can be used to preview changes to AWS resources when a stack is executed. Change sets are created by building a new CloudFormation template or modifying the original and creating a change on the original stack. You can then view the changes that will be deployed before you decide to execute the change. Option A is incorrect. AWS CloudFormation Drift Detection is used to detect any changes made to resource outside of CloudFormation templates. It would not be able to preview changes that will be made by CloudFormation templates. Option C is incorrect as these are groups of stacks that are managed together. Option D is incorrect as these intrinsic functions are used for assigning values to properties in CloudFormation templates. Next question. Which AWS Framework Pillar is built of protecting data, systems, and assets while increasing business value use established mitigation strategies? And the options are: Option A. Operational excellence. B. Cost optimization. C. Reliability. D. Security. And the correct answer is option D. Security. Explanation. Security is one of the 5 key pillars of a framework within AWS. The 5 key areas within the security pillar that make up this framework are incident response, data protection, infrastructure or hardware protection, detective controls, and identity and access management. The 5 design principles of operational excellence in the cloud are documentation, frequent and small changes, operations as code, refining procedures quickly, and anticipating system failure. A good example would be anticipating system failure. When you test a failed system, you can validate corrective procedures to make sure that the system is functional and get to a 0% of downtime. However, this pillar doesn't cover all the security aspects within AWS. The reliability pillar is focused on the stability of AWS systems and their ability to support business value with long uptimes and durable systems. This pillar is not focused on protecting data and systems as the security pillar is. The cost optimization pillar is focused more on cost and less on the security aspects of the AWS infrastructure. Next question. In the production environment, you are planning to make some changes to AWS resources. Whenever you make changes to AWS resources, you need to capture and record them automatically. Which of the following AWS services can do this for you? And the options are: Option A, AWS Trusted Advisor; B, AWS CloudWatch; C, AWS Config; D, AWS CloudFormation. And the correct answer is option C, AWS Config. Explanation. AWS Config records and captures all configuration changes done to AWS resources using the configuration recorder. Configuration items created by AWS Config can be sent to S3 to be stored as log files. These log files can be returned depending on the S3 lifecycle policies defined and can be referred to during any audit. Using an automatic configuration management tool helps an organization to track compliance of its resources elegantly. Option A is incorrect because AWS Trusted Advisor cannot record the details of configuration changes in the AWS account. Option B is incorrect because CloudWatch is a monitoring tool that captures different metrics like CPU utilization, memory utilization, etc. Once the data is captured, they can then be used for creating dashboards for displaying usage patterns, creating alarms for automating resource creation, that is creating a new EC2 instance due to average CPU utilization of an auto-scaling group going above 70%. Option D is incorrect because AWS CloudFormation is used for automating the creation of AWS resources in organizations that are huge and use a complex infrastructure that may be difficult to create manually. Next question. Your company would like to use AWS organizations to manage multiple accounts. Which of the following statements about AWS organizations is true? Select two options. Option A. An organizational unit OU can have only one parent. B. An account can be a member of multiple organizational units. C. An SCP policy only impacts a particular AWS account even if it is applied at the root account. D. Organizational level policies are known as service control policies. E. Policies can only allow a allow action and not a deny action. And the correct answer is option A. An organizational unit can have only one parent, and option D. Organizational level policies are known as service control policies. Explanation. Option A is correct. An organizational unit can have a single branch going up, that is, it can either inherit a root or another OU, but not both as shown in the figure below. Option D is correct. AWS organizations automate creation of AWS accounts, OUs and their hierarchy. They use service control policies at OUs. SCPs are different from IAM in the sense that they can be applied to the organizational level. They override any IAM policies that are defined at an account level and may also restrict the IAM policy defined. AWS organizations don't cancel the need for IAM. It complements what IAM can do by consolidating and centrally managing a lot of things that happen. AWS organization is not an authority for granting permissions, but it is an authority to approve or disapprove permissions given by IAM. Option B is incorrect, since an account can belong to only one OU. Option C is incorrect. A policy applied at the root is applied throughout the organization, that is, to all its OUs and its accounts. A policy applied to the OU level applies to all OUs and accounts under those OUs. A policy applied at the account level is applied to only that account, referring to the figure above. When a policy is applied to the OU under the root, it will also be applied to the OU below it at accounts B, C, D. When a policy is applied to account C, it will apply to only that account. Option E is incorrect. SCPs can be configured to allow or deny services and actions. Next question. What are the differences between AWS Global Accelerator and Amazon CloudFront? Select two options. And the options are: Option A. AWS Global Accelerator uses the Anycast techniques to accelerate latency-sensitive applications. Amazon CloudFront uses Unicast. B. Amazon CloudFront makes use of edge locations and edge infrastructure, whilst AWS Global Accelerator does not. C. AWS Global Accelerator does not include the content caching capability that Amazon CloudFront does. D. AWS Global Accelerator is suitable for applications that are non-HTTPS such as VoIP, MTTQ, and gaming, whereas Amazon CloudFront enhances the performance of HTTP-based content such as dynamic web applications, images, and videos. E. For the resource endpoint, Amazon CloudFront offers static public IP addresses, whilst AWS Global Accelerator does not. And the correct answer is option C. AWS Global Accelerator does not include the content caching capability that Amazon CloudFront does. And D. AWS Global Accelerator is suitable for applications that are non-HTTPS such as VoIP, MTTQ, and gaming, whereas Amazon CloudFront enhances the performance of HTTP-based content such as dynamic web applications, images, and videos. Explanation. AWS Global Accelerator uses the high-speed AWS Global Network and Anycast routing techniques to greatly improve the availability and network performance of the customer application. By leveraging edge locations and edge infrastructure traffic to and from customer application endpoints, ingresses and egresses, the AWS Global Network at geographically closer locations to clients. Amazon CloudFront is a content delivery network CDN that improves the performance of cacheable web content like videos, images, using content caches at edge locations. Option A is incorrect because Amazon CloudFront does not use unicast techniques. Instead, it uses a content caching mechanism in delivering enhanced web application performance. Option B is incorrect because both AWS Accelerator and Amazon CloudFront service make use of edge locations and edge infrastructure on the AWS Global Network. Option E is incorrect because Global Accelerator provides static public IP addresses for the customer resource endpoints, whilst the fully qualified domain name of the Amazon CloudFront distribution can resolve to dynamic public IP addresses. Next question. To ensure the availability and backup of EBS volumes, which of the following is the customer's responsibility? And the options are: Option A. Delete the data and create a new EBS volume. B. Create EBS snapshots. C. Attach new volumes to EC2 instances. D. Create copies of EBS volumes. And the correct answer is option B. Create EBS snapshots. Explanation. Snapshots are incremental backups, which means that only the blocks on the device that have changed after your most recent snapshot are saved. When you create an EBS volume based on a snapshot, the new volume begins as an exact replica of the original volume that was used to create the snapshot. The replicated volume loads data in the background so that you can begin using it immediately. Option A is incorrect because there is no need for backup of the volumes if data is already deleted. Option C is incorrect because attaching more EBS volumes does not ensure availability. If there is no snapshot, then the volume cannot be available to a different availability zone. Option D is incorrect. EBS volumes cannot be copied, they can only be replicated using snapshots. For more information on EBS snapshots, please refer to the below URL. Next question. Which AWS service help you to view operational data from multiple AWS services and automate operational tasks across your AWS resources? And the options are: Option A, AWS Systems Manager. B, AWS Management Console. C, AWS Resource Groups. D, AWS Resource Access Manager. And the correct answer is option A, AWS Systems Manager. Explanation: AWS Systems Manager is a collection of capabilities to help you manage your applications and infrastructure running in the AWS cloud. Systems Manager simplifies application and resource management, shortens the time to detect and resolve operational problems, and helps you manage your AWS resources securely at scale. Option B is incorrect because the Managed Console is a web-based graphical user interface that users interact with when administering AWS services and resources. Option C is incorrect because resource groups are a collection of AWS resources within a single AWS region. In this scenario, the AWS resources are in different AWS regions. Option D is incorrect because Resource Access Manager allows users to share resources with other AWS accounts or via AWS organizations. Next question. Which of the following scenarios would require using both spot and reserved EC2 instances? And the options are: Option A, applications that experience sudden spikes in workload, but only for a short period of time. B, in which there is a predictable resource demand over a long duration. C, having unpredictable spikes for a long period of time. D, one that has a constantly predictable workload with brief unpredictable spikes. And the correct answer is option D, one that has a constantly predictable workload with brief unpredictable spikes. Explanation: in order to meet the constantly predictable workload, Amazon EC2 reserved instances would be the most cost-effective solution. Spot instances is an auto-scaling group would suffice to meet the unpredictable spikes. Hence, a combination of reserved and spot instances appropriate in this scenario. Option A is incorrect because this use case would be cost-effectively serviced by Amazon EC2 reserved instances with on-demand instances in an auto-scaling group to meet the resource demands of the spike. Option B is incorrect because this use case would be cost-effectively serviced by Amazon EC2 reserved instances alone. Option C is incorrect. For this use case, Amazon EC2 on-demand instances within an auto-scaling group would be a cost-effective way to meet the resource requirements. Next question. When designing a highly available architecture, what is the difference between vertical scaling, scaling up, and horizontal scaling, scaling out? And the options are: Option A, scaling up provides high availability while scaling out brings fault tolerance. B, scaling out is not cost effective compared to scaling up. C, scaling up adds more resources to an instance, scaling out adds more instances. D, auto-scaling groups require scaling up whilst launch configurations use scaling out. And the correct answer is option C. Scaling up adds more resources to an instance, scaling out adds more instances. Explanation: vertical scaling, scale up, is done by adding more resources to an existing system to reach a desired state of performance. For example, a database or web server needs additional resource to continue performance at a certain level to meet SLAs. More compute, memory, storage, or network can be added to that system to keep the performance at desired levels. Horizontal scaling, scaling out, is basically adding more instances. In high availability architectures, auto-scaling is used to give elasticity to the design. Horizontal scaling uses auto-scaling groups to increase processing capacity in response to changes in preset threshold parameters. It could involve adding more EC2 instances of a web server. Option A is incorrect. Scaling up does not provide high availability. Adding more resources to one instance is often not a best practice in architecture design. Option B is incorrect. Scaling out is cost-effective since it involves adding more resources in response to demand and reducing resources when demand is low. Option D is incorrect. All auto-scaling groups require a launch configuration based on what resources would be provisioned or deprovisioned to meet predefined parameters. Next question. A weather tracking website monitors the weather along the flight route. This information is used by travelers around the world to plan their trip. Travelers are expecting quick turnaround time when booking flights and viewing the weather. This website is using AWS Route 53 DNS. Please suggest the best routing policy for the website. And the options are: Option A, Geolocation Routing Policy. B, Failover Routing Policy. C, Multi-Value Answer Routing Policy. D, Latency-Based Routing Policy. And the correct answer is option D, Latency-Based Routing Policy. Explanation. According to the scenario described in the question, the performance of the website is of prime importance to its users. These users travel frequently and cross regional boundaries. Latency-based routing always routes DNS queries to the best performing region, regardless of what happens to Amazon's infrastructure. If the question asks for the best latency performance, latency-based routing would most likely be the answer. Please refer to AWS documentation for more details. Option A is incorrect because geolocation routing is often used to localize content and present the website in the language of its users. Geolocation routing lets you choose the resources that serve your traffic based on your user's geographic location, meaning the location that DNS queries originate from. For example, you might want all queries from Europe to be routed to an ELB load balancer in the Frankfurt region, irrespective of latency in that region. Option B is incorrect because failover routing is usually used in disaster recovery scenarios, where an active-passive disaster recovery configuration is present, and the passive resource that was originally the backup resource has now become the active resource due to the original active resource being unhealthy. Option C is incorrect, since multi-value answer routing provides the ability to return multiple health-checkable IP addresses, which is a way to use DNS to improve availability and load balancing. Question 21. In AWS, which of the following services can be used as an application firewall to protect against DDoS distributed denial of service attacks? And the options are: A. AWS Security Groups. B. AWS WAF. C. AWS Network ACL NACL. D. AWS Artifact. And the correct answer is option B, AWS WAF. Explanation. AWS WAF is a web application firewall that can be deployed on CloudFront to help protect your application against DDoS attacks by giving you control over which traffic to allow or block by defining security rules. If you have a cloud-based solution WAF, you usually get an add-on feature for DDoS protection. Option A is incorrect. A security group acts as a virtual firewall, controlling the traffic that is allowed to reach and leave the resources that it is associated with. Security group cannot prevent DDoS attacks. Option C is incorrect. NACL is an optional layer of security that acts as a firewall for controlling traffic in and out of a subnet. You can associate multiple subnets with a single network ACL, but a subnet can be associated with only one network ACL at a time. NACL doesn't have any inbuilt DDoS protection. However, using NACL, you can block IPs or IP ranges from where the DDoS traffic is originating. Option D is incorrect. AWS Artifact is your go-to central resource for compliance-related information that matters to you. It provides on-demand access to AWS, security, and compliance reports and select online agreements. Next question. What can be termed as a user-defined label that has a key-value pair of a variable character length? It is assigned to AWS resources as metadata for administration and management purposes. And the options are: A. Resource tag. B. Resource group. C. Resource flag. D. Tag key. And the correct answer is option A. Resource tag. Explanation. AWS resource tags are a critical component when architecting in the cloud. They create an identifying mechanism for the user to group, classify and order all their provisioned resources appropriately. Option B is incorrect. AWS resource groups enable the ordering of AWS resources into logical groupings. Resources can be ordered by application, environment or software component. Option C is incorrect. Flags are used in AWS CloudFormation. The option is inaccurate. Option D is incorrect. A tag key is only part of what makes up a resource tag. Each resource tag will have a key and value string. Next question. A financial organization maintains on-premises data centers that hold a large volume of customer financial transaction data on its mainframe systems. Because of performance issues, they have implemented a caching solution in the AWS cloud that will hold the customer's financial data. Transferring transaction data to the cloud is extremely bandwidth intensive and highly confidential. What connectivity would you recommend for this data transfer? And the options are A. Direct connect with the VPN connection. B. Virtual private network. C. AWS storage gateway. D. AWS Snowball. And the correct answer is option A. Direct connect with the VPN connection. Explanation. Direct connect provides a dedicated connection to the on-premises data center, bypassing the internet and providing a more secure data transfer mechanism. According to the question, data security, encryption, and high bandwidth is necessary. Direct connect over VPN meets all of these requirements. VPN provides the encryption and direct connect provides the dedicated high bandwidth connection. Option B is incorrect. Bandwidth is important for the connection, so direct connect is required. Option C is incorrect. AWS Storage Gateway is a means that provides a backup and recovery option for data to the AWS cloud that is stored within the on-premises data center. Primarily used with S3, the transfer still happens through the internet after encryption. Also, since the data is backed up asynchronously, the cache may be eventually consistent, resulting in stale data being retrieved from the cache. Option D is incorrect. Snowball is an offline data transfer mechanism used when there is a huge amount of data, 100 TB, that needs to be transferred to the cloud. Moving them over a WAN can take years and can be impractical at times. A physical appliance is shipped to the on-premise data center, which can be hooked to a network for transferring data. Once done, it is shipped back to the cloud data center, where it can be copied to storage devices like S3. Since our scenario requires real-time data availability between the on-premise data center and AWS cloud, it may not suffice the requirements. Next question. Which of the following services can be used to investigate and analyze the root cause of potential security threats to AWS resources? And the options are A. Amazon Detective. B. AWS Shield. C. Amazon Guard Duty. D. AWS Security Hub. And the correct answer is option A. Amazon Detective. Explanation. Amazon Detective can be used to identify the root cause of the potential security threat. It collects and analyzes data from multiple sources like AWS CloudTrail logs, VPC flow logs, and Amazon Guard Duty findings. Based upon unified findings created by Amazon Detective, the security team can quickly determine the root cause of the security threat. Option B is incorrect, as AWS Shield is a managed DDoS protection service that detects DDoS attacks and provides mitigation for the same. This service is not suitable for investigating the root cause of potential security threats on AWS resources. Option C is incorrect, as Amazon Guard Duty is a threat detection service that monitors logs from AWS CloudTrail event logs, Amazon VPC flow logs, and DNS logs to detect any malicious activity. Guard Duty is mostly used for detecting DDoS attacks, not to analyze the root causes. Option D is incorrect, as AWS Security Hub aggregates alerts from various services like Amazon Guard Duty, Amazon Inspector, Amazon Massey, and AWS Partner Solutions in a single place. Next question. Your company is looking for dedicated block storage for EC2 instance. Which of the following can be attached to an EC2 instance to store data? And the options are A. Amazon S3, B. Amazon EBS volumes, C. Amazon EBS snapshots, D. Amazon EFS. And the correct answer is option B. Amazon EBS volumes. Explanation. An Amazon EBS volume is a durable block-level storage device that you can attach to a single EC2 instance. You can use EBS volumes as primary storage for data that requires frequent updates, such as a system drive for an instance or a storage for a database application. Option A is incorrect. Amazon Simple Storage Service is an object storage service, not a block storage. Option C is incorrect. Amazon EBS Snapshots is a backup for EBS volumes. It cannot be attached with EC2. Option D is incorrect. Amazon EFS is a block storage, but the scenario in the question is looking for dedicated storage. EFS usually leveraged for shared storage across hundreds of EC2 instances. Next question. Which of the following is a secure, isolated networking component that can be used to host EC2 resources in the AWS cloud? And the options are A. AWS NACL, B. AWS VPC, C. AWS ECS, D. AWS EKS. And the correct answer is option B. AWS VPC. Explanation. Amazon Virtual Private Cloud, Amazon VPC, enables you to launch AWS resources into a virtual network that you have defined. This virtual network closely resembles a traditional network that you'd operate in your own data center, with the benefits of using the scalable infrastructure of AWS. Option A is incorrect. AWS NACL is an optional layer of security that acts as a firewall for controlling traffic in and out of a subnet. Option C is incorrect. Amazon Elastic Container Service is a highly scalable, high-performance container management service that supports Docker containers and allows you to easily run applications on a managed cluster of Amazon Elastic Compute Cloud instances. Option D is incorrect. Amazon Elastic Kubernetes Service, Amazon EKS, is a managed Kubernetes service that makes it easy for you to run Kubernetes on AWS and on-premises. Next question. Which component of the AWS CloudFront service can be used to distribute content globally? And the options are A. CloudFront Origins, B. Amazon Regions, C. Amazon Availability Zones, D. Amazon Edge Locations. And the correct answer is option D. Amazon Edge Locations. Explanation. Amazon CloudFront is a web service that speeds up the distribution of your static and dynamic web content such as HTML, CSS, JS, and image files to your users. CloudFront delivers your content through a worldwide network of data centers called edge locations. AWS Edge Location is the place where the data are cached to reduce the latency to the end users. They are located in the major cities around the world. These infrastructure are used to provide only the services such as CloudFront, Lambda, etc. Option A is incorrect. An origin is the location where content is stored and from which CloudFront gets content to serve to viewers. To specify an origin, use S3 origin config to specify an Amazon S3 bucket that is not configured with the static website hosting. Option B is incorrect. Amazon EC2 is hosted in multiple locations worldwide. These locations are composed of regions, availability zones, local zones, AWS outpost, and wavelength zones. Each region is a separate geographic area. Option C is incorrect. Availability zones are multiple, isolated locations within each region. Next question. Your web application is deployed in the Ohio region. The website is now planned to be distributed to other regions, and you plan to use CloudFront for global distribution. What statements about CloudFront are false? Select two options. And the options are A. CloudFront uses the concept of edge locations for catching and delivering content faster to its users. B. CloudFront can help improve performance by using keep-alive connections between the edge locations and the origin server. C. CloudFront doesn't cache dynamic content. D. CloudFront can use only S3 buckets as their origin server from where they can cache content. E. CloudFront can customize content at the edge locations before delivering it to users. And the correct answer is option C. CloudFront does not cache dynamic content, and option D. CloudFront can use only S3 buckets as their origin server from where they can cache content. Explanation. Option C is correct since we can use the time to live TTL value to enable caching of dynamic content. Option D is correct. CloudFront has been open to use origin servers of your choice that can be S3 or a custom origin like EC2, ELB, etc. Option A is incorrect. CloudFront does use the concept of edge locations for caching content that is requested by the user. When a user in the US requests content in a web server hosted in the Mumbai region, CloudFront will initially check whether the content is available at the nearest edge location in the US region. If it is available, the content will be served directly from the edge location. If not, CloudFront will request the origin server, get the content and cache it, and the edge location for serving future requests. Option B is incorrect. Every HTTP connection runs on TCP or IP. For every HTTP connection to work, a TCP handshake has to be initially completed L. Option E is incorrect. CloudFront has the ability to customize content at the edge location before delivering it to its users. For example, a Lambda function, usually referred to as Lambda at edge, can use the following triggers: viewer request, origin response, viewer response, that can be used for customizing the end user experience. Next question. Your company plans to migrate its critical applications to AWS EC2. The company management, however, is unfamiliar with AWS Cloud and worried about running cost. Which of the following is an advantage of Amazon EC2 from a cost standpoint? And the options are: A. Having the ability of automated backups of the EC2 instance, you don't need to worry about maintenance cost. B. The ability to choose low-cost AMIs to prepare the EC2 instances. C. The ability to only pay for what you use. D. Ability to tag instances to reduce the overall cost. And the correct answer is option C. The ability to only pay for what you use. Explanation. One of the advantages of EC2 instances is the pre-second billing concept. This is also given in the AWS documentation. With per second billing, you pay for only what you use. It takes the cost of unused minutes and seconds in an hour off of the bill. So you can focus on improving your applications instead of maximizing users to the hour, especially if you manage instances running for irregular periods of time, such as dev, testing, data processing, analytics, batch processing, and gaming applications. Option A is incorrect. Backups will not reduce cost. Rather, enabling the automated backups will increase the cost. Option B is incorrect. Low-cost AMIs cannot be considered as a cloud advantage. Option D is incorrect. Tracks are primarily used to group resources for management purposes. Using tracks will not reduce cost. Next question. Your company plans to move its on-premises workload to AWS. The company wants to ensure that appropriate tools are used in order to ensure the right security settings are in place. Which of the following tools could be helpful? Select two options. And the options are: A. AWS Inspector, B. AWS Trusted Advisor, C. AWS Config, D. AWS Artifact. And the correct answer is option A. AWS Inspector, and option B. AWS Trusted Advisor. Explanation. Trusted Advisor is a service to help you reduce cost, increase performance, and improve security by optimizing your AWS environment. Trusted Advisor provides real-time guidance to help you provision your resources following AWS best practices. The AWS Inspector can inspect EC2 instances against common threats Amazon Inspector is an automated vulnerability management service that continually scans AWS workloads for software vulnerabilities and unintended network exposure. Option C is incorrect. AWS Config is a service that enables you to assess, audit, and evaluate the configurations of your AWS resources. Config continuously monitors and records your AWS resource configurations and allows you to automate the evaluation of recorded configurations against desired configurations. Option D is incorrect. AWS Artifact is your go-to central resource for compliance-related information that matters to you. It provides on-demand access to AWS security and compliance reports and select online agreements. Next question. There is a requirement to collect important metrics from AWS RDS and EC2 instances. Which AWS service would be helpful to fulfill this requirement? And the options are A. Amazon CloudTrail, B. Amazon Cloud Search, C. Amazon CloudWatch, D. Amazon GuardDuty. And the correct answer is option C. Amazon CloudWatch. Explanation. Amazon CloudWatch is a monitoring service for AWS cloud resources and the applications you run on AWS. You can use Amazon CloudWatch to collect and track metrics, collect and monitor log files, set alarms, and automatically react to changes in your AWS resources. Option A is incorrect. AWS CloudTrail is an AWS service that helps you enable governance, compliance, and operational and risk auditing of your AWS account. Actions taken by a user, role, or AWS service are recorded as events in CloudTrail. Option B is incorrect. Amazon Cloud Search is a managed service in the AWS cloud that makes it simple and cost-effective to set up, manage, and scale a search solution for your website or application. Amazon Cloud Search supports 34 languages and popular search features such as highlighting, autocomplete, and geospatial search. Option D is incorrect. Amazon GuardDuty is a threat detection service that continuously monitors your AWS accounts and workloads for malicious activity and delivers detailed security findings for visibility and remediation. Next question. A number of large objects from different geographical locations need to be uploaded to an S3 bucket. Which is the fastest and most reliable way to accomplish this? And the options are A. You can connect to an application running on AWS EC2 that is hosted in multiple regions using Route 53 and use latency-based routing to upload files to the S3 bucket. B. You can use a direct connect link from each of the geographic location for transferring data quickly. C. You can use S3 transfer acceleration from each geographic location that will route the data from their respective edge locations to S3. D. You can directly access the S3 bucket from the different locations and use a multi-part upload for transferring huge objects. And the correct answer is option C. You can use S3 transfer acceleration from each geographic location that will route the data from their respective edge locations to S3. Explanation. The best way to address this scenario is to route the request to the nearest CloudFront edge location from the different geographical locations. Edge locations provide a fast network infrastructure bypassing much of the internet for delivering content to S3 destinations. Performance gains of nearly 50 to 500% can be observed while using S3 transfer acceleration. Option A is incorrect, since Route 53 latency routing only calculates latency between different endpoints based on the internet traffic and location proximity rather than optimizing the network for fast data transfers. Option B is incorrect, since Direct Connect is used for very specific purposes like extreme security requirements for the data transfer. Also, establishing multiple Direct Connect infrastructures would be expensive from a cost standpoint. Option D is incorrect. It is possible to use S3 endpoints directly for data transfer, but it will be impractical for situations where the geographic location is significantly far away from the S3 destination, introducing high latency while uploading large objects. Next question. Which statement is accurate about AWS budgets and Cost Explorer? And the options are A. AWS budgets uses the cost visualizations provided by AWS Cost Explorer to show the status of preset budgets and to provide forecast of estimated cost. B. Both AWS budgets and AWS Cost Explorer can be used to predict uses and to give recommended cost optimization measures. C. AWS budgets will list the cost incurred over a period of time with a further breakdown by region and a linked account. D. Due to the sensitivity of billing and cost management information with the AWS Cost Explorer and AWS budget services, it is not possible to view the information for multiple accounts. And the correct answer is option A. AWS budgets uses the cost visualization provided by AWS Cost Explorer to show the status of preset budgets and to provide forecast of estimated cost. Explanation. Under the Billing and Cost Management Service in the AWS Management Service, it is possible to use the AWS budgets and Cost Explorer to show the status of preset budgets and to provide forecast of estimated cost. Option B is incorrect because AWS budgets doesn't provide cost optimization recommendations. Option C is incorrect because this feature is not provided by AWS budgets. Rather, it is provided by Cost Explorer. Option D is incorrect because it is possible to view billing information for multiple AWS accounts as long as the administrator has lawful jurisdiction over them. Next question. What security service can be used to detect personal credit card numbers from data stored in Amazon S3? And the options are A. Amazon Messi, B. Amazon Athena, C. Amazon Inspector, D. AWS Shield. And the correct answer is option A. Amazon Messi. Explanation. Amazon Messi is a managed security service that can be used to detect personally identifiable information such as names, passwords, and credit card numbers from large amounts of data stored in an Amazon S3 bucket. Option B is incorrect. Amazon Athena is a serverless interactive query service to query data and analyze big data in Amazon S3 using standard SQL. Option C is incorrect, as Amazon Inspector can analyze potential security threats for an Amazon EC2 instance against an assessment template with predefined rules. Option D is incorrect, as AWS Shield provides protection against DDoS attacks. Thank you for watching this video. Buy our AWS Certified Cloud Practitioner CLF-C01 premium questions with 50% off. Check link in the description.